When are you going to get a proper job? That's something I was asked by a family member some 25 years ago now when I worked on cruise ships. When are you going to get a proper job? And it continues now even to this day, these kind of questions. Now we are travelling full-time as a family and world schooling our kids. And we get asked questions like, when is your holiday going to end? And when are you going to settle down in a place? And, you know, we even ask ourselves these questions sometimes. And that's what I wanted to do this video about, this reflection about today, because it's a little bit following on from my last video where I talked about you're more than your job. You know, we are doing this. We are learning to live a life where we don't have to holiday from. Learning to live a life you don't need to holiday from. Just think about that for a minute. It sounds good on paper, but the reality is it's not actually easy. So we have done this as a family. But I think the feelings that I'm going to go through and talk about here, I think other categories of people can relate to this. Early retirement, maybe redundancy, maybe your time away from career when you are having your kids. Maybe these are the feelings that you've got in those areas of your time, those times of your life. And I just want to go into that today. It was a realisation I came to recently where we've sort of broken out of the system, right? We're not working 9 to 5. We're not in the education system. We can live this life the way we want to live it. That's the whole point. But something was stopping us still. It was like we were trapped in our own prison, in our own fears, in our own, we should be doing this, but we don't have to, and we want to do this. But we still felt trapped because we still felt those conditioned beliefs that we've had all the years. You know, you need to do this thing. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. But just the analogy of that is, I think of a tarot card actually, the 9 of Swords from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I'll put a picture of it up here. And you can see in this card that this woman is blindfolded, she is tied up, and she's surrounded by these 9 swords. And this is it. This is the prison that we're putting ourselves under. Because in that card, the tie that's around her is not bound tight. She can open it up, free her hands, free her eyes, and pull out the swords and get free. And that was a real analogy that hit me. You know, we've been doing this 7 months now, and I was still feeling tied somewhat to this system that we've tried to break free from. And we physically have in our bodies, but our minds were still there, still imprisoning us. And this is what I want to reflect on today a little bit and see if you can relate to this. Things like time, you know, when you have a job, it might be 9 to 5, it might be shift work, it might be a full 12 hours. You know, I used to work on the cruise ships and work 12, 14-hour days. My dad worked on rigs and he worked shifts and stuff and he hated night work. We're told how to live by time. Even to the point where you can have so many weeks off a year and enjoy it. You're too knackered to enjoy it. You end up burning out on holiday. What's the phrase? I need a holiday to get over my holiday. Life shouldn't be restricted by time. Time is a human construct, right? Yeah, there's benefits to time, being a certain place, a certain time to meet somebody. But when time starts to take over, and time is the commodity that the only thing we've got, right? The thing we want so much is to have more time, to be able to live this life. But we were finding we still had to do the things. We still had to do the things that were in that life. So education, you know, we home educated 4 years before we did this, so we were already out of that system, but you still have this, are we doing enough hours? Are we doing the right subjects? Are we doing right by our kids? And money fears, they came with us too. You know, where's the security? Should we have the security that we had back when we had jobs and the 9 to 5? But you're trapping yourself there by doing that, by being in the secure money system. So this just all hit me, and I just thought, oh God, I don't even feel like we're living this life that we came here to do, because we're still somewhat pulled to live it a certain way. Do you know what I mean? And this isn't a reflection about what's right or wrong. You know, if you don't believe in home education, if you believe in working the 9 to 5 and having that job security and putting your kids in school and doing all the things, like if that is what your path is and you're happy with that and that life, then that's fine. There's no judgment here. This video isn't about that. It isn't about who's right or wrong, whose lifestyle is right or wrong, whose path is right or wrong. It's not about that. It's about underneath that. It's about why we're still feeling tied to these things when we've chosen to come out of them. That's what I really want to get into. It's like we're conditioned. And there's a guilt you're not doing it right. Because it's a new thing, because it's a different thing, it's not everyone's doing it. When we first home educated, not as many people were doing it. You know? And there's a guilt around that. Are we doing it right? There's shame. Are we being judged? We're going to be judged doing this. And obviously putting it on here, we usually are. That's a given. But there's all these feelings that were coming up when we should be living this lifestyle that we want. You know, retired people leaving their job. I mean, my father-in-law, you know, he's a good example. You hear this quite a lot. He retired, couldn't handle it, couldn't handle not being in the system, in the ways, in the workings of it, in that world, in the time and what you do with your time. And he ended up going back. And not long after, he suddenly died. A lot of people do that. A lot of people go back to work after they're retired. If you've been made redundant, you know, this is a possibility that this can be happening more and more now, with the rise of AI and what AI can do, and more people are going to be made redundant. Then what? You might have a certain amount of redundancy pay. What if you lived your life the way you wanted to live it and use that money to do that? Is that blowing it away? The fear. Is that you should be putting it into your future? Oh, we can't enjoy life. It's got to be hard. Life has to be hard, right? It's got to be effortful. You've got to put work into life to be able to enjoy it. I've mentioned this in a video before, you know, to reap the rewards, you've got to be deserving of it. You can't get things without deserving them first. Really? So my question is, can we turn this around? Can we finally get our minds to catch up with our bodies? Have you done this exercise before? What does your ideal day look like? I'm sorry about that noise, it's a dripping. But what does your ideal day look like? Right from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed. If you weren't tied to time, to responsibilities, to money, if that was no issue, how would you choose to spend your time? And can we bring some of it into this new lifestyle? Why can't we live like that? Or a little bit like that? It's about unlearning the way we thought we had to live. Unlearning the way we thought we had to live. And you might get that in the different times of life. Instead, we've got to learn to live a life we don't need to holiday from. It's not easy. We're getting there one day at a time. Being mindful and reflective, I can see it as it happens. I can see the swords, the prison coming up. So have you been through any of this? Does any of this relate to you? It might be a different circumstance. You might not have left your home country and gone travelling with your family. You know, not many people do that. But you still might feel that. You might have taken your kids out of school and started homeschooling and got the guilt and the shame and everything else. You might have changed or lost careers. You might have gone from full-time to part-time. What do you do with your time then? How do you deal with judgment? Does it matter? Whose life is it? Early stages of retirement or redundancy, how have you managed that? So this is quite a real-time reflection on this, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that is going through it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Let's reflect together. Thanks for watching. Much love. Bye for now.